Oh, I could listen to that all day.
Yeah,
It's good. It's good. It's just nice, chill and relax too.
Yeah.
But welcome back. This is a podcast about movies, and as always, I am Jacob Barber, joined by Austin. Austin, how's it going?
Hey, good man. It's been a busy little week. It's going to be a busy week of upcoming podcasts. We were just on talking Clint Eastwood movies last night on Rank 'em, so that was fun. But now we're switching gears and doing whatever we want because that's what we do here on a
What we do.
podcast about movies. Whatever we please.
Yes. And today we have decided we are going to go through the alphabet and give a recommendation, just a movie we like. And the only caveat we have is that it has to be something we have not yet discussed on the show. And I'm really hoping that I didn't mess up, because if anyone's going to mess up, it's me.
Right. You're going to be like, oh, Pharrell, and I'll be like, we talked about that last week. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. It's like, no. No, I guess the only one you don't want to run into is when we did our years. So it's not the same one, but I was very, very careful with mine. None are mine that I don't think we've even really, in passing, mentioned any of these, I think. So this should be good. Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and so what we're going to do is so A to Z, we've also included one number movie. So I think we just start there. We start with the numbers.
The numbers. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you want to
yeah,
go first, sir? You're the host, sir. So if you want to go first, you're certainly welcome to do so.
I'll go first. Yeah. This one was tough. There's actually, as I was looking through, there's a lot of good movies that just start with a number. And so I decided I'm going to go a little more recent, just because I really loved this movie. You guys actually just talked about it on your Oscars episode, and that's the movie 1917. I love this movie. I think it is shot extremely well, edited together extremely well. The way they were able to make it look like it was a one take, even though it wasn't made that way. I think it was amazing. I think the performances are good. I think the action, the war scenes are all done really well. And yeah, it's just a really good recent war movie. And I feel like we haven't talked about it on this show, but I feel like it's been talked about enough that people know what this movie is. And I just wanted to give it one more shout out, because I really do enjoy this movie. It was one of my favorites of 2019, and I think I was rooting for it for that Best Picture win, but that didn't happen, because another really good movie came out that year also. That was also deserving. So
but what Sam Mendes did with that movie was really tremendous. Yeah, the way he was able to direct it, and I mean, he did set up a lot of long takes throughout the movie. It's just stringing them all together to make them look as if they're all one take. But I think a lot of them were still very, very long, continuous takes, with the guys like running across fields and going from location to location. I think there's still a lot of that stuff in there. Obviously, probably required a lot of rehearsals and a lot of planning and things that have to go exactly right. But yeah, it's an incredible feat when you watch it, and it's a very gripping movie. It's a good pick, 1917. It's a good one.
Yeah. What do you got?
I went with a movie that more people should see. It's an international feature from Takashi Miike, who directed Audition, but it's a samurai film called 13 Assassins, and it's a good one. It's kind of following the sort of Seven Samurai kind of formula. It's basically you got these 13 assassins. They're all kind of elite, badass samurai, kind of a special teams, samurai, so to speak. And, there's a warlord, coming, kind of on a rampage, going from town to town, village to village. And this one village really doesn't want, really doesn't want to die or be taken over by this guy. So they kind of band together and ask these assassins to sort of protect them and take down this dude. And there's a lengthy buildup, but it's a great payoff because the last, like, I would say 30 minutes or so of this movie is just out of this world crazy. I mean, it's just sword fight, galore, like everything you can want in crazy samurai sword fighting, limbs getting chopped off, heads getting chopped off, blood soaked all over the dirt, when it's all said and done. I mean, it's definitely a throwdown, but it's really, really well done, and it's a lot of fun. So more people should see 13 Assassins.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen this once, and I definitely need to revisit it because I do remember really enjoying it, especially the samurai stuff. So yeah, no, solid pick, solid pick. So yeah, let's just run down the alphabets. If you ever need help learning your ABCs, this is a great way to do it.
Great show to do it, yes. And especially we needed help. I was, when we were thinking about last week, we were like, what's the next one in alphabetical order? Yeah, we needed a tune-up, so this helped a little bit, going back to our first grade skills. So yeah, what do you got for A? And just to be clear, if it has the word "the" in front, that's okay, unless you want to do a movie for T that has the whatever, that's fine. But otherwise, we don't count the word "the." Those are participles, so we don't count those. But yeah,
so
right ahead, A.
Yeah, for A, I went. This one was tough. There were a couple I wanted to bring up, but I think I'm ultimately going to decide on American History X. I think this movie, it's so good. The performances from Edward Norton and Edward Furlong in this movie are great, and just kind of seeing the change in Edward Norton from who he was to who he becomes toward at the end of in the the latter half of the movie. I think is really great. There's some scenes that are hard to watch. Like the curb scene is one that comes to mind. It's a hard one to watch, but I think the performances alone are worth it. It's definitely worth at least one watch. It's not one that has that rewatchability for everyone. I mean, there are some people that can't go back and rewatch it, but I think it's a solid movie.
Yeah. No, it's got great side performances too. From what I remember, Ethan Suplee's in this movie. From Remember the Titans, is kind of their Nazi buddy. Running around listening to very bad music and things like that. And Powers Booth is great as the guy who runs like the Nazi club, almost like Patrick Stewart would later, and kind of in Green Room almost, And but Beverly D'Angelo's in this movie. She's like his mom, and Veruza Balk and Elliot Gould, Stacy Keach, just all kinds of great people. And what's his name from Deep Space Nine? Captain, but I'm forgetting his name. But yeah, he's the principal that kind of is talking to Edward Furlong throughout the movie. Yeah, this is one of Edward Furlong's kind of last hurrahs before he kind of went off into straight to video land. So yeah, he's good at this movie, and yeah, it's one of Ed Norton's great movies as well. Man, he's awesome. Yeah, American History X is a good pick, good movie.
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because on my screen it says, because I had to switch to another tab to look at my list, and my screen is now saying not responding. So I just wanted to make sure you can still hear me. Hopefully it won't mess up.
You're coming through loud and clear, and we're still live as far as I can tell. Right. So, cool. So yeah, cool. Live podcasting. It is what it is.
So that was my pick for A. What's your pick?
All right. You'll see throughout this list, I unbeknownst to myself, found a lot of animal and creature features on this one. I don't know why. I started late, but there's a good 7 or 8 of these that kind of fall into that category. But oh well, it'll be kind of a subcategory today. So I'm gonna start with A. They're not all, I promise. But for A, I went with the 1980 creature feature alligator. which is a really fun movie. It's got Robert Forster from Jackie Brown, who's really great. He plays like a detective, and basically they're investigating an alligator that got flushed into the sewers years ago. You know that old story, and he grows to be like 30 feet long, like this super gator, essentially, and starts eating homeless people and going on a rampage. And but there's a really great like actual animatronic alligator that kind of has a lot of really fun scenes later. There's a great rampage through a wedding later in the movie that's really crazy. Dudes getting eaten by limos and stuff. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, Robert Forster's great. He's always been kind of one of my favorite older actors. This movie's a little hard to find at the moment. I have like an old DVD, but it's finally getting a 4K from Shout Factory. It's coming very, very soon, like in the next month or two. I've already pre-ordered it. But yeah, it's a really fun, if you like just kind of just fun, goofy 80s creature movies. Alligator is a nice little hidden gem that it's better than it has any right to be. I'll say that much. It takes itself a little more on the serious side, but it's actually better than it has any right to be. So Alligator, a lot of fun. And I hope more people see it with the new release coming out.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever actually heard of this movie. So
I figured you wouldn't have. There's going to be some of these on here that you probably have not heard of, but that's why I'm recommending them, because they're a lot of fun. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely be checking that out. It does sounds like a lot of fun. So
yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably end up picking that one up. I'm very much a blind buy guy when it comes to movies. I
blind buy stuff all the time. I blind buy stuff just to do these podcasts. Like I'll watch it one time and then I'll have it just in the collection. So whether I like it or not, sometimes I just take the gamble and roll with it. So, but I'm a physical media guy. So what can I say? It adds to my collection. So it is what it is. But yeah, man, what do you got for moving on to B? What do you got for the Bs?
For B, I'm going to go. So I mentioned that I only had, before we went on, I mentioned that I only had one superhero movie. I lied, because I'm going to go superhero for my B. It's a straight to DVD Blu-ray movie, and that's bringing two things from my childhood together. It's Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay, the animated movie that came out.
The animated one.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I didn't know this was coming out. It just kind of, because it wasn't on my radar, it just kind of came out, and no, I loved it. I loved the back and forth between Batman and all the Ninja Turtles. It was just a fun time. It's a short one. It's not very long, because most of those DC animated movies aren't any longer than 90 minutes. So, but yeah, no, it was just fun seeing Batman and the Turtles on screen together. I've only watched it the one time, because I've been trying to watch more movies and not rewatch movies that I've seen, just to kind of broaden my horizons when it comes to movies. So I've only seen it the one time, but it was a fun time. It's a short 90 minutes. It was actually one of my favorites of 2019 as well, even though it was just straight to Blu-ray and like 80 minutes or something like that. But yeah,
DC really owns the monopoly on that those animated features, man. They come out with like 3 or 4 of them every year, and most of them are actually pretty good, and the variety on them is great. Some of them kind of have a continued storyline, and some kind of branch out into other things, like that one right there. But there was a recent one, that I watched. It was that Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. That was a great animated movie. That one was awesome, and it was brutal. Like the dudes getting wiped out left and right, and it was kind of focused on Constantine, which was cool, much like the other one did. But yeah, sometimes they have those through lines and they're fun. But yeah, like it's crazy how Marvel has barely done anything with that animated stuff. They had a few back, years ago with like Planet Hulk and a couple of Avengers, little straight to video kind of animated things. But then DC is just dominated that market. But most of them are very, very good. Yeah,
they are.
No, they're really solid. So, that's a solid pick. I've seen some scenes here and there. You'd be flipping through YouTube or something, or Facebook. Get be like Batman versus Shredder from the movie. It'll be him fighting Shredder or whatever. And you're just like, oh yeah, I forgot they had that movie. And those are fun. So, it's a good little pick, and those animated movies are good. I went with for my B, a movie that I feel like just doesn't get talked about and got kind of forgotten from a few years back called Black Mass with Johnny Depp. It's the gangster movie where he plays Whitey Bulger, who kind of ran Boston for a little while, kind of a Boston mob sort of situation. But it's a really, really good sort of mafia movie, and it's basically also like a period piece from the 70s. And but man, the cast on this movie is like absolutely stacked. I know it's like Benedict Cumberbatch and Joel Edgerton and Jesse Plemons and Dakota Johnson and Kevin Bacon and Peter Sarsgaard, and I was looking over David Harbour, Adam Scott, Corey Stoll from Ant-Man, just like a ton of people in this movie. Everybody you see is somebody you recognize, and the guy who directed it, Scott Cooper, went on and did that Antlers movie that I was a big fan of from the past year as well. So yeah, he's a really solid director. I just feel like not enough people talk about Black Mass. It's a really, really good mob movie, not like one of those epics, it's not like Goodfellas or something like that, but it's a nice kind of localized mob movie and some good investigation about double crosses and back and forth. It's really good. So Black Mass.
Yeah, this is one of the few Johnny Depp movies I haven't seen yet, but I will definitely get around to it because
he's very
Johnny
good
Depp
in
fan.
it. Yeah, he's very, very good.
Yeah, that's what I hear. So yeah, I hear good things about it, and I want to check it out. It's not streaming anywhere at the moment, and
okay.
I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of renting movies.
No, I don't either. It's like I'm either gonna buy it on Vudu or something, or I'm just gonna own the Blu-ray or whatever. Yeah, I don't do like the whole rental thing. It's like if I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna own it, and right. I just want to roll with it. But yeah, no, I'm kind of the same way. I don't do the rental thing. But yeah, Black Mass. More people should talk about it. It's really, really good.
Yeah, and I feel like more people should talk about. I don't know how many people have seen my pick for the letter C. It's the movie. It's a Kevin Bacon movie called Cop Car.
Cop Car, yeah, Cop Car. The guy who did went on to do the Amazing Spider-Man movies, right? Was it Mark Webb? I think. I believe so.
John Watts.
John Watts. Or I'm sorry, John Watts did one of the.
Yes,
John Watts did the newer Spider-Man movies. Yeah, the MCU Spider-Man movies. That's right.
Yeah,
I knew it was something like that.
Yeah, no, I this was a total I found this on Netflix and I saw that it had Kevin Bacon in it, so I was like, okay, let's turn this on and find out what it's about. And it's about these two boys who find a cop car that Kevin Bacon drives to do, and he does some pretty shady business in. There may or may not be somebody in the back in the back of the car. And so, yeah, what happens is these two kids, they take the cop car for a joyride, and they find out that there is a man in the trunk, and I don't want to go into it too much because I feel like people haven't seen this movie. I would say once they find out that there's someone in the trunk, and we find out who Kevin Bacon really is, even though he is a cop. That's when the movie starts to get really interesting. And I think it's highly underrated, highly unseen. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. That's where I found it. So if it is, yep, it is. I just looked it up.
Okay.
So it's still on Netflix, and I would highly recommend everybody give this a watch. It's not a long movie either. It's like an hour and 28 minutes. So it flies by. And yeah, I loved it, and the ending really surprised me too. So
yeah, it's that was one that I think I blind bought. I still have I blind bought the DVD when it came out because I heard the guy was doing the Spider-Man movie, so I wanted to see what he'd been up to, and this is one of his movies. Yeah, and it's a very kind of low budget, simple movie, but it's a good little thriller. Yeah, I think people should give it a look. Yeah, Cop Car, that's a good pick. I have another. My C is actually kind of a independent movie too, back from 2013. It's a movie called Cheap Thrills that not a lot of people have seen, and it's Pat Healy and Ethan Embry, and basically they're both kind of these buddies that are kind of down on their luck, and one just got fired, and he's about to get evicted and things like that, and they're at a bar, and David Koechner and his wife are there. David Koechner from the Anchorman movies, and kind of get a wind of this. And he's very wealthy, and he just takes these two guys, and his wife is very, very bored. So he goes, we're gonna have a little fun tonight, and basically starts daring these guys to do crazy things for money. And so it starts out simple stuff, go over there and drink that guy's beer, right off his table, or, slap the waitress on the ass, that kind of stuff, for $100, whatever. And it gets crazier and crazier and crazier to the point of where they're doing illegal things and immoral things and things to their own bodies. And it gets very, very out of hand over one crazy night. So this is going to be one that's on our other half of our One Crazy Night movies that I suggested. But yeah, it's one of those movies that slowly escalates to very nutty territory, but everybody's very good in it. And it's short one. It's under 90 minutes, and it's on Hulu and Tubi. So if you want to check it out for free, fun. It's a fun little watch, man. Like just you want to really, it's kind of a dark comedy, but you can imagine it gets to the point where it's like, this isn't really spoiling anything, but it's like, would either one of you like to cut off your pinky for $5,000? That sort of thing. So yeah, that's the kind of territory it goes to. And it's a crazy little one night movie. I think more people should see. Cheap thrills.
All right. I might have to get Tubi because there seems to be a lot of.
Well, it's a free streaming service, sir, just with a couple ads every now and then. So I think it's available everywhere. Yeah. But yeah, they have a lot of good stuff, especially horror. It's not really a horror movie, but they have a lot of these sort of thriller movies and horror movies. So yeah, Cheap Thrills is on there, man. It's a good one.
All right, I'll have to check that out. Mm-hmm. So moving on to the letter D, I went with kind of a well-known movie, but one that we haven't talked about, and I just wanted to express my love for this movie. That's the Netflix movie Dolomite Is My Name.
Eddie Murphy.
The movie that brought Eddie Murphy back. Eddie Murphy hadn't really done much before this one. I really enjoyed this. I didn't know who Rudy Ray Moore was, but people had been talking this movie up, so I decided to turn it on. And yeah, no, it was a really good biopic. It was a lot. It made me laugh, and just kind of seeing how Eddie Murphy as Rudy Ray Moore, kind of fought to make the movie he wanted to make, and he succeeded. And I think it was a lot of fun. I didn't go back and watch any Rudy Ray Moore movies.
The original Dolomite movies, yeah, they're kind of fun.
Watch any of them.
They're very crazy. A lot of that blaxploitation stuff, including those Dolomite movies, are very crazy. To where like trick for mics, in certain shots, and it's not as high quality, and they're not professionally made, but they're fun. But they've got an energy to them, It's that, and like Black Caesar, and a lot of those movies. They kind of eventually led to the Foxy Brown and Shaft, type stuff. But yeah, Rudy Ray Moore was kind of right in the middle of that in the late '70s, and that Dolomite movie's a lot of fun. Wesley Snipes is great in that movie too. He almost steals the movie. He's a lot of fun. You could tell everybody was just having a good time with this one. Yeah, right. I'm glad Netflix let him just make the movie he wanted to make, and you can tell they gave him just creative control to do what he wanted, because it wasn't going to get like a big release, but he was able to just do what he wanted to do, and you can tell it was a passion project. It's a fun little movie. Yeah, really fun.
And when I looked it up, I knew it was well received, but 97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
kind of. I was like, I didn't know it was that high. Like I figured maybe low or high 80s, low 90s, but high 90s. Like there's not a lot of people out there that don't like this movie, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, Dolomite's a good pick. I went with an underrated little movie from 1998. It's directed by Stephen Sommers, who did The Mummy, my Mummy from 1999, and the movie he did right before that, 1998, is a movie called Deep Rising. And Deep Rising is a really fun, kind of forgotten, sort of at sea kind of creature monster movie, but it doesn't start out like that. It's one of those movies that it's like Treat Williams gets hired as this boat driver kind of guy by these kind of pirate, thief kind of dudes, and they're going to rob like this cruise ship, this ocean liner that has like some stuff in their vault or whatever. And so it starts out as this like kind of mercenary pirate, heist movie sort of thing, but there's this octopus crazy squid creature that starts taking over, as happens, this thing takes over the boat and starts eating everybody, and they have to basically fight their way out. But it's Treat Williams, it's Famke Jensen, it's Anthony Heald, who plays a villain in every '90s movie. Who you don't recognize the name, but if you were to look him up, you would recognize him immediately. Kevin J. O'Connor, who is Benny in The Mummy, like he's the comic relief in this movie too, and he's kind of playing a similar character, kind of a Weasley, kind of comic relief guy. Wes Studi, a lot of people, but it's just a really fun kind of run and gun movie, sort of like a From Dusk Till Dawn situation, where it kind of starts out as one movie and it kind of turns into this creature crazy movie, in the second half. So I don't think it's streaming anywhere right now, but I have the Arrow Blu-ray, and it's really, really good. So but it's a lot of fun. It just has a fun thing, and it has this ending where I don't know, like I'm not really spoiling it per se, but it was supposed to lead an ending that was supposed to be a tie-in and a lead into a new King Kong movie, which is crazy.
Okay.
That kind of comes out of nowhere, but it was supposed to at the time and never materialized. So I'll just say that, but it's a very intriguing ending when you look into it. So, but yeah, there you go. So we call Deep Rising from 1998 with Treat Williams, my boy from The Phantom. So yeah.
I'll have to see if I can find that anywhere, because that does sound intriguing.
It's something. It's only available for like purchase and rent in places. I didn't see it on any of the streaming services, but yeah, it's a fun little watch. I would encourage people to check it out.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out if I can. So we'll move on to the letter E.
I think somebody uploaded it on YouTube with like Polish subtitles, so it's on YouTube right now. So to avoid the strikes, so I think it's on there right now in full. So if you want to check it out on YouTube, anyways,
with Polish subtitles,
or just like some kind of it looks like some kind of Eastern European subtitles.
That's great. The letter E. I am a huge fan of Bo Burnham. I think Bo Burnham is great, and I think he did a phenomenal job with his directorial debut, and that is 8th Grade. I thought 8th Grade was really, really good. I think it showed, how am I trying to say this? It was a very accurate portrayal of what 8th Grade can be.
Right.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure like the lead actress hadn't been in anything before this, and I'm pretty sure Bo Burnham hadn't directed anything before this. So it was for both of them. I thought for their first full movie, her acting, him directing, I think they knocked it out of the park. I can't remember her name off the top of my head right now, which really bothers me.
I was looking it up. It was Elsie Fisher is what I'm looking at.
Elsie Fisher, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Is she related to Isla Fisher at all, or no? Or
I have no idea.
Okay.
But yeah, no. Elsie Fisher plays an 8th grader, obviously, because the movie's called 8th Grade. And she has a YouTube channel that she runs, and it's just kind of going through her year as an 8th grader and how sometimes things can be awkward, and sometimes we portray this image of ourselves on screen to people that don't know us. But then for the people that do know us, it's not the same, and it's kind of a, shows that we can be the same person here as well as in real life. We don't have to like put on an act, and so yeah, no, wonderfully acted, wonderfully directed. I think I would love to see Bo Burnham do more writing and directing, because I think really did a great job with this one. So yeah, I mean, I love his comedy. So, but he can also like there's definitely comedy here, but it's more coming of age and
Yeah.
it was just totally unexpected because when I think of Bo Burnham, I think comedy, I think satire, um, and this is not that. So it was a pleasant surprise, and it just shows the range of Bo Burnham as a performer slash entertainer slash just um, actor, director, writer. He can do a lot. So yeah, I'd love to see more coming from him.
When we get to our tier ranker fights about coming of age movies, we'll have to put it on the list, and I'll have to check it out because I remember seeing promos and things for this. I just didn't get around to it, but
Right.
with the recommendation, I'll definitely have to get around to it. Yeah, if we definitely do that episode, I'll check it out for that one because I heard good things at the time. So yeah, no, that's cool that Bo Burnham did a good job. Well, a lot of these. Bo Burnham, like Olivia Wilde with doing Booksmart. Some of these people that take a
Yeah.
crack at the directing thing and hit a home run. That's cool. So I'm glad to hear that. For my E, I went with another creature feature. Again, I didn't intend for this to happen; I just kind of did. But it's because I rewatched it recently. I bought there's a new Scream Factory Blu-ray of it. It's Eight-Legged Freaks from 2002 with David Arquette, and it's actually probably way better than it has any right to be because it knows what it's kind of being. It's kind of a satire and a send up of like 50s monster movies, sort of in the vein of how Tim Burton did Mars Attacks, and it was kind of a send up of 50s like alien kind of sci-fi movies. This one knows exactly what it's aping. It's very, very similar, but it's still fun in its own right. I think all the creature stuff with the spiders taking over this town and kind of multiplying and going crazy all over the place is a lot of fun. It's got a lot of comedy in it, but like not like super goofy comedy, but like some actually good, some good humor. It's one of Scarlett Johansson's early roles. Like she's in there as like as like a sister of the kid in the movie, and but a couple other people you recognize here and there. But it's on Netflix. I'd encourage everybody to give it a look if you haven't checked it out yet. Eight-Legged Freaks is a lot more fun than you probably remember it being. I saw this one opening weekend when it came out. I worked at the theater, saw it opening day, had fun with it. But yeah, I'm a fan of this movie. I think it knows exactly what it is, and it's really entertaining. So, Eight-Legged Freaks, yeah, check it out.
Yeah, this is one that I have not seen in a long time, so I definitely need to give it a rewatch. Yeah, David Arquette, I love him. So definitely gonna revisit that one soon.
Hey, he was still riding high at the time from the Scream trilogy, so he was still doing his thing and having a little fun. So yeah, it's a fun movie. I think everybody have a good time with it. Yeah,
for
like
sure.
Freaks.
Yeah, so moving on to F, and I'm gonna go with I'm a wrestling guy, so this one seemed pretty easy for me. It's Fighting with My Family with Florence
Right.
Pugh. The story of Paige, the WWE wrestler who unfortunately is no longer wrestling due
She
to
had
neck
a
injury.
neck injury, right? Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
like an injury that kind of put her out, but she's still involved in wrestling a little bit, or she was for a little
yeah,
while as like the manager and stuff. But yeah, she's not wrestling anymore. But yeah, Fighting with My Family.
yeah. And this was just I loved seeing because I didn't know who she was until she came into the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not mainstream, I don't know. I'm not a big indie wrestling guy, so if they're not one of the major promotions, I don't know much about them. So it was kind of cool seeing the backstory and how she grew up in the business, like with her family, and just kind of seeing how the training takes place and everything like that. Florence Pugh gives a fantastic performance. Nick Frost is really great. The Rock and his cameos are great, especially when he you got any advice for us? And then he just goes off and oh, thank you, Rock. Oh, you're welcome. And so just very Rock like,
Yeah, right.
which I'm pretty sure didn't happen because I'm pretty sure the Rock wasn't like he's always been with the company, but he wasn't like with the
I don't think
company
he
at
was
that
with the
point.
company at that time. Yeah, I think he was doing very sporadic appearances. He was not a regular at the time because
Yeah,
this is what, like 2012 or something like that. Yeah, I mean he
something like
was.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It was around the time maybe it might have crossed a little bit of when he came back to do his matches with Cena at like WrestleMania, but he was not a regular at the time. Yeah, so I don't think she would be just bumping into him backstage at a random
no,
Monday Night Raw or something like that. But yeah,
no, I'm pretty sure they only include that because he was involved with the movie a lot because he
I think he
produced it.
produced it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, he produced it. Stephen Merchant directed it. Like,
Hmm.
just not names I associate with with directing, but no, this was really good. I loved it, man. Um, and yeah, so yeah, Florence Pugh, Vince Vaughn is really good as the trainer for at the performance center. Solid performance across, and if you're a wrestling fan, I think you'll really dig this one.
Yeah, it's a good pick. Yeah, and we'll be talking about more of that one when we get to our tier ranker for combat sports, probably in a month or so, to round up the sports section. But yeah, that'll definitely be available on the list. And yeah, it's probably got a good chance of making the S tier, given how many of those movies are not the greatest. So
Right,
I think it's got a pretty good shot. So yeah,
just
but
like the
yeah,
basketball list.
right, yeah, exactly. We've just got more movies to choose from in the combat one. That's all. But we'll
Yeah.
see what happens. Yeah, for the F, I went with a movie called The Founder from
Mm,
2016 with Michael Keaton. I feel like that's another one that's kind of been underseen, but it's really good. It's about Ray Kroc, who the founder in quotes of McDonald's, who realistically stole it from these two guys out in Illinois. But yeah, the two guys that he kind of apes their thing is John Carroll Lynch and Nick Offerman. You know, Nick Offerman from Parks and Rec.
mhm.
Um, but they're both really great. Just it's a movie that just feels very Social Network, Wolf of Wall Street, kind of, the mashup of, like, the way it's edited and kind of put together, of this, rise of this guy, and kind of how he kind of weaseled his way into kind of running this company and taking it out from under these guys. But yeah, Keaton is awesome in the movie, as he always is. But I'm so glad he's kind of made a huge comeback the last 5, 6, 7 years. Ever since Birdman, he's been really great, and it's great to see him kind of back in action. Yeah, he definitely shines here. All the Patrick Wilson's in it, Linda Cardellini, Laura Dern, like a whole bunch of people show up that you'll recognize. But yeah, it's really good if you haven't checked it out. It's a really breezy movie. It's a little under 2 hours, but it breezes by. Like, I didn't feel
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
It's really fast moving, and it's on Prime if you want to
Oh,
check it out. So The
nice.
Founder, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's a solid pick. Yeah, I think Keaton really shines in this movie. So it's a really good pick. Yeah,
Mhm.
more people should see this if you
Yeah.
haven't. Uh, so moving on to G, I kind of went with a a movie that I feel like people people associate this with like some of the greatest comedies of the 2010s, and for good reason. That's Game Night. I think Game Night
Hmm.
was fantastic. It was a surprise. It had the makings of a movie that could easily flop. Um,
Hmm.
one that I feel like you see who's involved with it, and you're like, oh yeah, no, it could be good, but it could also maybe not. uh, and it to be a really movie. I think this is great. I think Jason Bateman gives a really good performance. The entire cast, like it's got a great cast. Jason Bateman, Rachel McAdams, Kyle Chandler's in this
Jesse
movie.
Plemons
Jesse
is so
Plemons,
funny in this
yeah,
movie, dude. He killed. Like, I remember, I've only seen it the one time, but in the theater. But when he's like confronting them and getting suspicious about, like, they're buying all this stuff and it looks like for a party or whatever, like all these chips or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, it was some sale where they were like buy one get three free or something like that," and he's like, "That doesn't seem like it would make financial sense for Frito Lay." Just the way he delivers the lines, he was so funny.
yeah,
Like, he's so great. His, like, deadpan delivery in the movie, he's awesome. Yeah, Game Night was fun.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember. I
yes, and
remember really
then
liking it.
yeah, and then the twist it takes,
Hmm.
just added to the movie. I think it's a really solid comedy. And if you haven't seen, if you're one of the few that haven't seen it, because I feel like everybody's seen this, I just wanted
I
to give
think
it a
that's
shout
another
out.
one that's going to be on our second half of our One Crazy Night tournament fights because it wasn't in the first half, and I think it's actually going to be on there because it's a One Crazy Night movie of them running around town, doing the scary night thing. Yeah,
that might be my sleeper pick. Depending on what else is on the list, of course.
Right.
No, I mean that could be a sleeper that could make it pretty far. I think
this would make a really good double feature with Cheap Thrills if you'd want to watch that. Cheap Thrill, like 2 One Crazy Night kind of game dares, running around town. Like it'd be a good little double feature. Yeah, like one with some lesser known people and one with some more higher known people. Yeah, it'd be a good little double feature, I would say.
I might have to do that. Like you said, Cheap Thrills is free on Tubi, so
yeah, it is.
and
Game Night isn't.
And I own Game Night, so
yeah, there you go. Sounds good. Yeah, no, that's a good pick. Yeah, I've only seen it the one time, but I remember I had a lot of fun with it. So yeah, I need to go back and revisit it, but I had a good time with it. My G is from 2015. It's a family film, and it's one again I feel like was really underrated and better than it had any right to be, and that's Goosebumps with Jack Black.
Nice.
Yeah, I really like Goosebumps, and it had Dylan Minnette, who's kind of been a rising star lately. I feel like it's because he kind of looks like a Hemsworth, but he's like not a Hemsworth. I remember watching the movie and being like, that guy looks like Thor, but he's not Thor. It's not Chris Hemsworth. And I was like, who is this kid? I was like, he's gonna blow up. But yeah, it's really solid. Like it's better than it has any right to be as far as just kind of this crazy thing, and Jack Black playing, a version of R.L. Stine and them kind of unleashing this terror on this town, all the creatures like running around. And yeah, I mean, it's still a family film, but it does have some genuinely like creepy stuff throughout it. But yeah, it's really well written. It's well directed, and I think it's really kind of underrated. And I didn't see the sequel with the kid from It, but I'll get around to it at some point. But I really enjoyed this one. I think Goosebumps is a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I did not expect that one to come up. I didn't expect Goosebumps to be your G pick, but I'm pleasantly surprised.
I like Goosebumps. I like it. I think it's really fun. Like it's really charming. Like I've got another kids movie later that I'm really high on that some people aren't as, and I'll talk about that when we get there. But no, no, I didn't pick Noah Owens. I didn't pick Jack Black's Gulliver's Travels. No, I think he's much better in Goosebumps.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe this is an H pick. It's not my H pick. But I think House with the Clock in Its Walls was also solid.
No, that's another good one. I almost did that for my H pick actually, because I'm actually a fan of that one as well for the ages. Yeah, I have the 4K of that one. I really like it. That's an Eli Roth movie, which is a weird thing that like Eli Roth directed. The guy did Hostel and Green Inferno. Like he does this. Well, it does have some really creepy stuff at the end. Just I know I'm going on a tangent about House with the Clock in Its Walls, but like the thing where there's the everybody has like the baby faces, like the babies running around at the end. Like it's like some disturbing imagery involving like baby heads. It's really creepy. But yeah, like that's the Eli Roth touch where we saw it in the theater. I was like, yeah, there's Eli doing his goofy horror stuff. But yeah, but Goosebumps is kind of in the same vein. I think it's a really underrated, family film with a couple of horror elements, which is why maybe I latched onto it. I mean, I'm a big fan of the book series from when I was in school, when I was in elementary and middle school, like those books were huge. But yeah, like I thought the movie was really fun. So I liked it.
Yeah. So
and I know there's a new series coming out on Disney Plus, I think soon.
Yeah,
too.
they just announced that.
Like they're gonna do I hope it's more of an anthology thing, just doing the bringing the books to life, doing the stories again, kind of like the Goosebumps series of the 90s did, bringing
that'd be fun.
Bringing the thing. Yeah. So if they do that, I think it'll be a lot of fun. I hope they did.
When is the fans want to know? I feel like by fans, you mean yourself. And
you.
It will come back when I don't oversleep through our recording time. That's when it'll come back. Because that happened, and then life. Anyway,
I had the same thing happen when I tried to give Henry Confidential and Jake Tato their Rocky quiz, and Henry took a nap through our scheduled time, and we were kept messaging him being like, "Where are you, bro?" And he slept right through it. So it happens. Life happens, man. It's all good. Anyways, getting back to our list, going to H.
Going to H. I went with a movie from. I believe it was 2019. Yeah, I'm picking a lot of 2019. Apparently, it was
Okay, you're going more recent on a lot of your picks, and I'm going a little older on some of mine. Yeah.
And it's a movie that stars Dev Patel and Armie Hammer. It's called Hotel Mumbai. It's an action thriller about members of there's a terrorist attack at the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, and there's it just kind of going through like Dev Patel and just like trying to get these people to safety. Armie Hammer, I've only seen it the one time, but I just remember absolutely loving it, and I want to revisit it, but I just haven't found the time to with everything else that there is to watch. But yeah, like one of the couples has a newborn baby and just trying to keep the baby safe, and trying not to be heard by these terrorists. You don't.
Yeah.
And no, it didn't. You can mention the name, just don't mention anything else.
Armie Hammer is really good in The Social Network. That has nothing to do with anything he's up to now. His performance in that movie is really good.
Yeah, Armie Hammer, who will be in the upcoming Death on the Nile.
Yeah.
But no, Hotel Mumbai, it was fantastic. I love the performances from Dev Patel and Armie Hammer. Kind of an uneasy feeling, like are we gonna get these people to safety? I'm pretty sure it's based on a true story, but I think they just did such a good job of building this tension in the movie. It has you on the edge of your seats, even if you know the story. I didn't until I saw this movie. I don't keep up with current events even now. Definitely not from 10 years ago, for 15 years ago now, whatever it was. So yeah, no, it was. I love movies that can entertain you, but can also teach you about like kind of historical events. So yeah, Hotel Mumbai. That's my recommendation for H. And real quick, yes, I've noticed that they I'm pretty sure they don't have him on the poster anymore either.
They cut his name from the poster too. Name from the credits. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if they cut his name, but he's not on the poster himself.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. All right. Well, my movie can teach you something, but it's more about like teaching you how to shoot guns while jumping through the air. Because and it's not Hot Fuzz, which you already talked about, but it's a movie that Hot Fuzz talks about kind of within it, or references a lot and takes a lot of inspiration from. That's Hard Boiled from 1992, the John Woo film from Hong Kong. This is Chow Yun-fat and John Woo kind of doing their thing at the peak of their powers in 1992. It's just a crazy, lots of crazy gunfights and shootouts and, cop action movie, which is what they did best. And Hard Boiled is probably one of the best ever examples. It has a sequence in the third act that is a literal 4-minute continuous shot shootout, where halfway through the shootout, they go down an elevator, and the crew, while they're in the elevator, changes the entire set to look like another floor, and they continue the sequence. It's crazy. It is extremely, extremely well shot. It's pretty much what he tried to do with like Face Off, and all the shootouts in that movie, were kind of taken from this. The doves, all that stuff comes from this movie, and The Killing as well, which is another movie he did. But it's a little bit hard to find. When I was browsing for a second ago, it is on YouTube as well. For somebody uploaded it, and it's just sitting there, so you can watch it. I have a Dragon Dynasty Blu-ray of it that I bought years ago. That's kind of out of print, but you can find it if you look hard enough. But yeah, Hard Boiled. If you like John Woo action movies and want to see kind of him in his prime, check out Hard Boiled. Really, really good.
All right, I'll have to go on YouTube later.
Right?
Yeah,
It's amazing how some of these foreign ones are. It's just I think they get uploaded and nobody really cares because they're just international movies, so they
right.
don't get stricken by anything, and they just sit up there. Because the upload I saw just briefly look at it was from 2013, so it's been sitting there for almost 10 years and nobody's cared. So I think it'll be okay.
All right.
Yeah, why not? Hmm.
Yeah, no, solid recommendation.
Hmm.
Moving on to I went with another recent one. This time 2018. I'm gonna go with Instant Family with Mark Wahlberg and Rose Byrne. Um, this the trailers, it looked like, okay, this movie's not gonna do well. It's not. I'll watch it. I'll give it a shot. I ended up loving this movie, and I think it's just so great. I think Mark Wahlberg and Rose Byrne have pretty good chemistry with each other. I think the kids are really good. The comedy lands. It's heartwarming. And yeah, I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. Because it is a Mark Wahlberg movie, and
Yeah.
he's very hit or miss. Um, so, but I think when he's in the comedy and he's on, and I think this is one of those where he was on, and I think it worked really well. I think all the stuff with the kids was good. They really made that connection. I love that they they wanted to keep the kids together, um, even though they're young parents, um, and taking in three kids is a big task. And just speaking on that, like if for anyone who does that in the real world, like if you are a foster parent, my hat's off to you. Like
Right.
I think that's wonderful. I wish more people could do that. So yeah, no, this movie
Yeah.
was great. Pleasant surprise.
I think I skipped it because the poster was kind of cringy when I saw it. I think the trailer was not very good either. I don't think this movie is marketed very well
Right.
because it looks like and well, saying on the top of the poster from the director of Daddy's Home certainly does not help it at all.
Right.
And to see, but then you look it up, it's got like 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got like a 7.3 on IMDb. Like people like this
Yeah.
movie, but like look at this poster and how cringy from like the 90s this is. It's like,
Yeah.
oh shucks, oh they're all piled together and nobody's having a good time and everybody's awkward and Mark Wahlberg's smiling because he's the goofy dad. Oh shucks, like that's a horrible poster. But yeah, but it's good to hear that it's better than its reputation because yeah, I
It
remember
is.
skipping it because of that reason. But it's on Paramount Plus, so
Yeah.
I'll have to see it at some point. But yeah. Okay, Instant Family. I remember all I remember is seeing a bad trailer and a bad poster. So I'm glad to hear it's better than all that.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. That's good. That's good. All right. So I went really old school with my eye pick, and it's another one that kind of has some creature feature stuff in the later parts, but it doesn't start out that way. It's a movie from 1957 called The Incredible Shrinking Man, which I'm a big fan of. And it's basically it's kind of exactly what it sounds like. It's a guy who's out on a boat and he has some kind of accident. I think with I can't remember exactly. It's like radioactive stuff or a comet flies. Whatever. One of those goofy sci-fi things.
Right.
And he starts shrinking. And so he starts shrinking. Little by little by little until he's basically the size of an action figure or a doll or something like that, and he's got to figure out what to do. And the movie's kind of famous. It has a famous sequence where he's fighting a spider with like a sewing needle. It's like this, like in and out of a dollhouse. It's kind of crazy. It's a little bit fun, but the way they do the effects are actually really fun. It's got that old school 50s flair to it. It's like 80 minutes. I mean, it's a quick watch, like a lot of those 50 sci-fis were, they breeze right by. 80 minutes. That's always look. I don't have anything against long movies, but sometimes when I'm looking for something to watch and I see 80, 85 minutes, I'm like, hey, I'm in, man. That sounds good. I remember when movies used to be kind of short. Yeah, I remember. And not every movie was 2.5 hours that came in the theater. Like I went to go see Jackass Forever this past weekend, and the movie I was in and out of the theater within 2 hours. Like it was so refreshing. It was like a 90-minute movie with some trailers, and whatever. And I was in and out of theater in 2 hours. I like that. But yeah, Incredible Shrinking Man is a nice little gem from the 50s. That actually is a lot of fun, really, really fun. So check it out. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I was looking it up, and apparently there's a parody out there called The Incredible Shrinking Woman.
Yeah, they made a parody of it they made a parody in the 80s, and it's basically like a straight parody movie. It kind of parodies a lot of the other 50s sci-fi too, but yeah, it's kind of a takeoff from The Incredible Shrinking Man, because there was also stuff like Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, and then they made a parody called Attack of the 50-Foot Cheerleader. Like there's all kinds of stuff like that they did, back in the day. So, but those movies are a lot of fun. Like the 50s sci-fi, you have to be in the right mood for it, but if you're in the right mood for it, it can be really goofy fun. I like it a lot.
Nice. Well, Jay, I'm gonna go old school for Jay. I'm gonna go with one of my favorite Disney animated movies that I feel kind of gets lost when talking, top tier Disney animation. It's top tier for me, and that's The Jungle Book. I think The Jungle Book. I really love The Jungle Book. I think the remake, the live action adaptation, is also really good. I think it's one of the
I think that was surprising how good that one was, because it's funny how many Jungle Book movies there are. I apologize, but I just want to point out there's all these Jungle Book movies because the original book is public domain now, like the original Rudyard Kipling book, so that you can make, like, Jacob, you could go in your backyard right now and you could go make a Jungle Book movie, and and it wouldn't cost you anything to like license it or whatever, because the book is in public domain. You just can't steal anything from like a Disney property version of it, which is why we always get. There's been literally, if you look at it, there's been like 100 Jungle Book movies, from all these different countries, because it's just it's property free essentially, and you can make it. Same with Pinocchio, which is why you can make 100 Pinocchio movies. So but the 64 and that remake are kind of the definitive versions. I like that 90s one too with Robin Shou is pretty good too. Yeah, but yeah.
I love the animated Jungle Book. I think the songs are really fun. Baloo is a fun character. I love Mowgli. His interaction with all the animals. I loved it as a kid. I love it now. I love the remake. So I'll kind of lump them together. I love that they didn't go, shot for shot with the remake. They, added some stuff. They kept some of the songs, which was fun because I didn't know I needed to hear Christopher Walken sing "I Want to Be Like You."
Right.
But now that is in my life, I'm glad it is. I love the voice cast from the original. I love the voice cast for the remake, and I love the story as a whole. So Jungle Book, I feel like it kind of doesn't get talked about enough with the top tier of Disney animation, like your Beauty and the Beast, your Aladdins, and nowadays you're Frozen and stuff like that. But it's
Shere Khan is just such a great name for a film.
Oh yeah.
Tiger or whatever. Shere Khan, like, what a cool name. It just works.
Yeah, and the vultures parodying the Beatles or whatever. Like that's a lot of fun. It's a fun movie. Solid animated movie. If you're gonna show your kids an animated movie, show them this one.
Yeah. Well, you can't go wrong with anything Disney before the year 2000 or so. I mean, I think you can't go wrong with pretty much any of that stuff. But yeah, Jungle Book's a nice one that doesn't get talked about enough. For Jay, I went with what's still to this day I think considered Tarantino's most underrated movie and kind of underseen. I went with Jackie Brown. I think Jackie Brown from '97 is still, for whatever reason, people kind of sleep on. Maybe because it's not the flashiest, it's not the most violent, it's not the most whatever. It's kind of lumped in between Pulp Fiction and the Kill Bill movies, but it's a really solid, just kind of it kind of becomes not a heist movie, but like a thieving, double crossing, movie at the end of it. But all the characters are excellent. Robert Forster, who I talked about with Alligator, got an Oscar nomination for this one. He's really great as Max Cherry, the Bales bondsman. Pam Grier from those blaxploitation movies, has a really great role here. Sam Jackson's really great, and De Niro's in it too, and kind of playing against type De Niro. So Michael Keaton's in this one too, and kind of a side role as one of the FBI guys. And it's really, really good, really well written. It's a long movie, but it's well paced, and you don't feel the length because it's got great Tarantino dialogue and Tarantino characters. I just think not enough people still talk about Jackie Brown, and I think people still sleep on it, and people who sleep on it just haven't gone back to it in a long time. So it's on HBO Max. Go watch Jackie Brown. It's really good.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it, so
Yeah.
becomes highly recommended. So I'll probably watch it soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, great pick. Moving on to K. I think we're about halfway through the alphabet. I don't know how
Yeah,
many
we're getting
letters
there.
So
We're getting there.
for K, I'm going really old school here. I'm gonna go to the silent film era, and I'm gonna go with the Kid, Charlie
The
Chaplin.
Kid with Charlie
The
Chaplin.
Kid, yeah,
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
yeah. I couldn't tell you why I turned this on. I think I saw that I had an hour or so to kill, and I saw that this wasn't that long. Let me look it up. It's of course you go to Google and it's going to bring up every other The Kid movie except for the 1921 one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's an hour.
Just keep talking about it. I'll look it up for you.
It's an hour and 8 minutes. It's
on
HBO
dude,
Max.
Those 20s and 30s movies. You know how many of them are like 68 minutes or 70 minutes? Yeah, I mean they're like it's nothing. You know what I mean? That's what's kind of cool about those movies. It's literally a little over an hour and you're there. So I mean, almost the length of what we've been going right now, and you could have watched The Kid, right?
And yeah, no, I've never actually seen a silent movie until this one, and I was surprised at how much I was entertained by it, and how much there's actually heart to it, and emotion, and even though it's silent, you still feel it, and I thought that was great. So I definitely want to check out more. I've seen The Circus. I thought that one was really good too. But there's still some more that I want to check out. There's a lot on HBO Max, so I will definitely be checking out more silent films. But The Kid was the first one, so I just wanted to give it a shout out.
Yeah, a lot of those silent films are on Prime as well, because again, a lot of those movies from the 20s have kind of entered the public domain, because once you get past literally 100 years or something, like the deals are up and they just become free. So for anybody to put on there. So yeah, you can find a lot of these around. But yeah, a lot of those Buster Keaton movies are great too. All Chaplin stuff. Harold Lloyd's movies are kind of zany and off the wall, and some of the stunt work from those movies was still really good and really holds up. Some of those risks those guys took making those movies to put something cool on screen. It's really admirable. So yeah, those movies are great. Come on, 68 minutes, man. How can you beat it, man? That's awesome.
And the amount of times I actually laughed out loud surprised me too. So
right. Well, I'll go with another movie that's on HBO Max. Surprisingly, is a 1988. Of course, it's a fun horror movie called Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and it's super fun. If you just want to see a great B horror movie that has a sense of humor, that knows exactly what it wants to be, that has some creepy stuff. I mean, obviously, if you don't like clowns, you will not like this movie, because the clown designs it's not people in suits. It's like these big crazy creature things, these clowns. But I remember this movie having an impact on me when I was a kid, seeing scenes from it out of context, not know what was going on. There's crazy stuff where they're making, shadow puppets on the walls, but like they come to life and eat the people looking at them, or they have like popcorn guns and they're wrapping people up in cotton candy cocoons. I mean, it's all silly clown stuff. They come down in a UFO that looks like a tent, a circus tent kind of a thing. But yeah, it knows exactly what it is. It's a lot of fun. It's like 88 minutes. It's in and out, and it's just a goofy, fun, good time. The dean from Animal House is the sheriff of the town, and he's great. So yeah, because of John Byrne, because of course he is. But yeah, it's really fun if you haven't seen it. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and it's on HBO Max. So yeah, it's a good little fun watch, fun late night watch.
It is, yeah, it really is. I actually own the Blu-ray, so
Oh yeah, I do too.
Yeah, no, Killer Clowns. It's a great pick. And I'm not surprised that you chose it.
I will talk about Killer Clowns from Outer Space any chance I get to talk about Killer Clowns from Outer Space, because it's so much fun. Anytime.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So moving on to L, I'm gonna go with the 2016 movie, another Dev Patel movie, and that's Lion.
Okay.
Dev Patel plays a man who is first it's a kid. So he So the story is a 5-year-old gets lost on a train, which takes him thousands of miles across India, away from his home and his family, and then he ends up being adopted by an Australian family, and then 25 years later, he wants to find his family, so he returns home to try to find his family. Nicole Kidman plays the mom. She gives a great performance. Rooney Mara is in this movie. Dev Patel gives an outstanding performance as well. Yeah, it's not one that I go back to a lot, but it is one that I remember loving the first time I did watch it. It was nominated for quite a few awards, so it's a really good movie. Yeah, Nicole Kidman, Dev Patel, they're great. The story is intriguing. I believe this might be based on a true story as well. So
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of drawn towards if it's based on a true story. So I kind of like those kinds of movies, and this is another one that knocked it out of the park, I think. So
yeah, no, this is fun because you're giving me some ones that I haven't seen that I missed, like that Instant Family one and like stuff like this. Dev Patel's an interesting dude because he must have had a back end deal on Slumdog Millionaire or something, because it seems like he just makes little small films and he hasn't needed to make any kind of big things. Maybe he made a bunch of money off of that movie and had some kind of deal when he made that one when it was a big hit and it struck it big. Maybe he's like Daniel Radcliffe, like he just doesn't need to, or maybe he just likes to do quality stuff. But he's a guy that's flown under the radar and made a lot of quality movies. So I'm glad to see that he's doing well, since then. And I'll have to give this one a look when I get a chance. I missed it, but I'm familiar with it.
It's free pretty much everywhere. Tubi, it's free on Tubi, free on Amazon Prime. Yeah.
There you go. Nice. Good to see. I went with another creature animal movie, but this one was in honor of Betty White. I went with Lake Placid. Lake Placid is super, super fun from 1999. It's another giant alligator movie, but it make a great double feature with alligator, obviously. But this is another one that it's way better than it has any right to be. It's actually really well directed. The cast is really good. It's Bill Pullman, Oliver Platt, who's super funny and sarcastic and great in it, Brendan Gleeson, Bridget Fonda, and then Betty White plays the old lady who's kind of raising the alligators, like to be giant, feeding them or whatever. But she has like some fun scenes where she's just dropping F-bombs and just being crazy and fun and really funny. So and it was just fun to see her in kind of a horror-ish movie, but Steve Miner directed, who's a big horror veteran. So, but it's a lot of fun. It's 85 minutes. It's a great movie. I mean, it's in the vein of those Jaws knockoffs, but I think it's a lot of fun and it's better than it has any right to be. So, in honor of Betty White, I chose Lake Placid. Nice. Rest in peace, Betty.
Yes. Yeah. It would have been 100 just to.
I know, so
a few
close.
Short weeks ago, but
yeah.
I'll have to check that. I'm pretty sure I've seen it. I couldn't tell you anything about it.
It's on Hulu if you have Hulu. So there you go. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. For Betty White alone, watch it for
Betty. For Betty, she steals her scenes. Like she's a lot of fun. Yeah, her interactions with everybody, it's a good bit of fun. Cloris Leachman ended up playing her in the direct-to-video sequels, but she's also fun. But it's Cloris Leachman. But yeah, if you want to go to your OG, go watch Betty White and Lake Placid. She didn't do a lot of movies, so when she was a lot of fun. So yeah.
So move on to M. I'm gonna go back to my childhood. I'm going to go Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
Hey, I talked about that in my guilty pleasure list on Tournament Fights. You know what a Power Ranger fan I am.
You call it a guilty pleasure. I just call it a pleasure.
Listen, I put it on there mainly just so I could talk about it. Yeah, I would say guilty pleasure, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say that I'm just a diehard Power Ranger fan anyways. Yeah. Like I just am. So yeah.
It was the first movie I saw in theaters as a little 5-year-old. I loved it. I still watch it today. I think it's great. It's Power Rangers. Who doesn't like Power Rangers? Show me a man. Show me somebody who says they don't like Power Rangers, and I'll show you a liar.
A liar. Yeah, I mean, come on. It's kaiju monsters, it's robots, it's martial arts, it's silly stuff. And Paul Freeman, Belloc from Raiders of the Lost Ark, plays Ivan Ooze, and he's having a blast doing it. And he
Oh,
steals the
Ivan
movie. He's
Ooze.
so great. He's so much fun. But like, he knows exactly what movie he's in. He's having a great time. He even says to this day he had a great time doing it, and he doesn't regret doing it at all, which is refreshing to hear, because a lot of these guys that do these movies, they go, oh, I did it for the paycheck. Well, no, he had a good time doing it, so that's good to hear, and good soundtrack too. It starts out with Higher
Yeah.
Ground from Red Hot Chili Peppers, them skydiving, which is always fun. Doing Tommy's the man. But yeah,
I'm a fan of Billy. I like Billy.
nerds, man, nerds. He's the nerd, and he's great. But yeah, like I said this on Tournament Fights. If you watch that movie, and when Tommy, they're kind of getting their asses kicked a little bit, and they back up, and they kind of form the line, and you know what's coming, and they go, all right, let's do it, guys, it's morphin' time, and they morph, and they kick in the theme song, and they're flipping all over the place, dude. If you're not fist pumping in the air, like when they're doing that, like there's something wrong with you, like
Yeah.
you don't have a pulse. Like, it's great stuff. So yeah, I love that, and the less we talk about Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, the better.
I didn't hate the 2017 Power Rangers either. I didn't hate that one.
Yeah, I don't hate it, but if I had to choose between that and the '95 movie, I choose the '95 movie.
Every time.
I
Yep.
just do. I just do. Yeah, I'm the same way. So, all right, for M, I went with the 2012 remake of Maniac, which I know a lot of people even haven't seen the original Maniac from 1980 with Joe Spinell, but the remake that came out in 2012 is really unique. It's Elijah Wood, and basically the premise is he's a serial killer who he kills women and kind of uses their skin and their hair and puts them on mannequin dolls and kind of turns them into mannequin dolls too. He's got this weird thing. But what makes the movie unique is that the whole movie is from his point of view. It's a first person movie. So like the whole movie is you see what he's seeing just walking around. The camera is him, essentially. And so it's really cool. The only time you ever see Elijah or like in a mirror shot or something like that, or reflections of cars and things like that. But the soundtrack is like this synth wave 80s, like, kind of like the opening of our show. It's got the synth wavy kind of stuff going on, and it's really, really cool. A nice throwback score. But the movie is really underrated, and I thought they took the original, which is a really creepy, scummy, dirty movie, and kind of they spiced it up a little bit, but the POV aspect just makes it completely unique. So I really like the 2012 Elijah Wood remake of Maniac. It's 2011, excuse me, not 2012, but it's really, really good. I liked it a lot.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
I've heard about it
anywhere
just now.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, it's definitely got some disturbing stuff, but actually, I would say this: if you want to get into the mood of watching the movie, go on Spotify or YouTube and just listen to the score, like listen to the soundtrack, and you'll want to watch the movie. I will say that for sure. So if you like kind of synth wavy '80s kind of stuff, it's really, really good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So Maniac.
Yeah. Moving on to the letter N. Yeah, I'm gonna go classic this time. I'm gonna go 1959. I'm gonna go North by Northwest.
Hitchcock. Yeah.
I loved this movie the first time I saw it. I was very late to it. I watched it for the first time like 2 or 3 years ago. And yeah, this movie's great. Cary Grant is fantastic. Just him being mistaken for this government agent, and then just kind of trying to evade these killers or whatever they are. I don't think they're killers.
It's the classic case of mistaken identity, Jacob, and a man caught up in a web of espionage, and they're going after the wrong guy, and he doesn't know what's going on. Yeah, no,
That's
and
it.
Cary
Words
Grant
are hard
plays it
sometimes.
perfectly. Yeah, that's all good. That's basically it's a premise that's been ripped off and duplicated and imitated 1,000 times. But yeah, Cary Grant he's so innocent, in the movie, and to see him get caught up in all this stuff and get wrapped up. I will say it has one of the most famous kind of bloopers that got left in the movie of all time, Jacob. If you go back and watch it, when the gun goes off in that like the restaurant or whatever it is, kind of near the end of the movie, you can see a kid in the background put his hands over his ears before the gun goes off. You can see it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Go on YouTube and look it up. It's one of the more famous kind of movie bloopers that they didn't catch, with the kid holding his ears before the gunshot goes off. But yeah, it's a good. The first time I saw it was actually in a theater. I got lucky. I saw it at one of those like Cinemark classic screenings or something like that. So I went and saw it, and it's a lot of fun on the big screen. But yeah, that's a good pick, man. Yeah, North by Northwest doesn't get talked about as much as Psycho and Vertigo and Birds and stuff like that, but it's really, really good.
Yeah, and it's on HBO Max. So if anybody wants to check it out, they can check it out there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll talk about a movie that, again, I feel like not enough people talk about, but the people who've seen it always rave about it, obviously, and that's Jake Gyllenhaal's Nightcrawler from 2014.
That was one I was considering.
Yeah, so. Nightcrawler is so good. I remember when me and my buddies saw it. We used to go to the theater every Thursday night and just see whatever was coming out, for a good 2 years or so. And we didn't know much about this movie. I think I'd seen the passing trailer here or there, but I was like, well, it's Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm sure it'll be okay. And then we ended up, getting blown away by it. It's so good with him getting wrapped up in this world of crime and filming, grisly crimes and things like that. He's a really scuzzy character. He's not necessarily a guy you're rooting for, but you're intrigued to watch. You want to keep seeing what he's doing. But yeah, Rene Russo's good. The late great Bill Paxton is kind of a rival, camera guy, kind of running around town as well. But the way he gets wrapped up in this, and he's so kind of self-conceited and creepy. Gyllenhaal just shines. Like, I think it's one of his better kind of breakout movies from earlier this decade. Yeah, I think he's really great. If you haven't seen, it's on Prime apparently for free. So yeah, Nightcrawler. Yeah, if you haven't seen Nightcrawler or haven't gone back to it, I would definitely recommend it. It's really, really great.
So Jake Gyllenhaal gives a fantastic performance. I love the movie. Riz Ahmed gives a good supporting performance too. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, it's his little sidekick he hires. You had to run around with him. Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, Nightcrawler is a solid pick. More people need to see this if you haven't. So I did a show sometime last year. We were doing the best of the 2010s, and this was in the top 7. So yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's highly underrated, highly underseen. So go watch it. What are you guys doing? Anyway, I'm gonna go. Moving on to O. I'm gonna go with the movie Once from 2007. It's about a vacuum repairman who is also a musician that plays on the streets just to, I guess, kind of make some extra money. But he really wants to record, and so he meets this lady who earns a living selling flowers. And she tells him that she's also an aspiring, singer, songwriter. And so they start to work together. I think, and they work together really well. I think the chemistry between the two is fantastic. It's Glenn Hansard, and I'm not even going to try to say the girl's name because
Marketa Irglova,
something like that.
Yeah,
something like that.
Something like that. Yes. Okay.
So the only reason I knew about this movie is because I knew the song "Falling Slowly." I love that song. I think it is fantastic. It won the Oscar for Best Original Song for 2007. It's a fantastic song, and so I've heard the song like several times before I even saw the movie, which I just saw for the first time last year. I believe it was on HBO Max when I watched it, but it's free on Tubi.
It's still
now.
Free everywhere. It's on Tubi, it's on Prime, it's on YouTube officially for free, so it's out there. Yeah,
there we go. So
easily. Yeah, okay. I'm not really the music movie guy. You know, I think that obviously that's more of your thing. So I may or may not watch it, but it's good to recommend for other people like you who may be into that stuff. That's cool because I had never really heard of it. If it's similar to Sing Street, I mean, Sing Street's good. I mean, you know, one of those types of movies.
Yeah, it sort of is. There's not as much music in it as there is Sing Street, but the music that is in it is really good. It's about them trying to record a record so they can, you know, record a demo so they can, you know, pursue their dream. And it's less than 90 minutes too, so it's
97% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's pretty impressive too. Wow, yeah, people like the movie. Cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It was the budget for this movie was $150,000, and it made over 23 million. So,
yeah, there you go. Big win, big win all over. Cool. Well, the one I went with is another animal creature movie because why the F not? It's become an unofficial one of those. You know, it's a movie from 1977 called Orca, the Killer Whale. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Nope.
So it's kind of exactly what it sounds like. It was 1977. It was 2 years after Jaws, and it's a Jaws ripoff. It is exactly what you think it is, with an orca, with a killer whale. And it's Dino De Laurentiis produced it, and he was kind of a madman in the 70s and 80s. He did the King Kong movie from 76, the one with Jeff Bridges, which I'm also kind of a fan of, and how crazy that one gets. But yeah, he was a madman. It basically starts with like a parody of Jaws because it's this crew on this boat that gets attacked by a great white, but then out of nowhere this orca comes out of here and headbutts the great white and eats him, and it's kind of, you know, it's pretty crazy, and then it kind of goes off from there. It's like one of the orca's mate gets killed by this whaling captain guy and goes out for revenge because orcas are all about revenge, and takes a snapshot of the guy. Literally, his picture goes into the dude's eye, like into the whale's eye, and then he takes a little snapshot and starts going after everybody who killed his mate. And it's a complete Jaws knockoff, but it's actually better than it has any right to be. It actually has some emotional stuff with the whale, like to where you feel bad for it, and you're kind of rooting for the whale for the most part to get his revenge. But yeah, it definitely gets bonkers sometimes. The whole finale takes place amongst a bunch of icebergs and the ice, you know, kind of, well, you know, out in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of hard to find. I bought it on Vudu and I have the Blu-ray of it, but you know, it's out there to rent and buy and stuff. But I don't think it's streaming anywhere. But yeah, it's a Orca from 1977. If you want to see one of the more famous Jaws knockoffs in the immediate aftermath of Jaws. So yeah. Orca.
I'm looking it up, and the thing that intrigues me the most is that it's at a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh yeah. So they did not like it when it came out, but it's been reevaluated over the years, and people have kind of come around to it. It's got kind of a cult following. It definitely has a cult following as far as like you know, because again, when you sit down and actually watch it, it's better made than you think it would be. But Richard Harris is the captain who played the original Dumbledore. He's the guy who died a couple years into Harry Potter. Bo Derek, Charlotte Rampling, Will Sampson, who is Chief in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He's in it. So yeah, I mean, there's some recognizable people in there. But yeah, it's a wacky movie, but it has some actually genuinely good, emotional, well shot stuff. So if you're in the mood for something like Orca, check it out. I was watching it before we went live, watching it again, I should say, and it's not bad. It's not bad. It's fun.
Excuse me. Nice. I'll have to find it and watch it. So.
Or not,
maybe, I don't know. I'm always intrigued by movies that are perceived as bad, but kind of get the cult following.
Well,
so
and again, if you follow me on T-Recker Fights, I watch a lot of bad movies because you know I'm fascinated by bad movies, and you know, every now and then I'll find a gem that's not as bad as people make it out to be. I think Orca is kind of one of those movies. But yeah, it's I don't mind watching bad movies, so I take the hit for people. But yeah, it's better than MVP Most Valuable Primate that I'll be talking about soon. So you know, then take that for what it's worth. It's better than Ed.
Better than that's the benchmark. Is it better than
That's
Ed?
the benchmark now for F if it's better than Ed. But anyways, enough about Orca. What's your P? As
Yeah,
we're hitting the home stretch here. So what's your P?
it's definitely a movie that's better than Ed. It's the Peanut Butter Falcon with Shia
Ah,
LaBeouf. Um,
mm-hmm.
another wrestling movie. And one that I think is really well done. Um, yeah, Shia LaBeouf, Dakota Johnson, and then I can't remember the the guy with Down syndrome. I can't remember his name right now. It's Zach
I'll look it
something.
up real quick. Zach
Yeah,
Zach Gottsigan?
God, yeah,
Gottsigan?
it was
Something like that?
the last name
Yeah.
was escaping me,
Right.
but
Okay.
yeah, no, I worked at a camp for several years. It was a summer camp, and it was for those with special needs, and
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of got a soft spot for them. I think they're some of the best people out there. Like they're just the most loving, caring, and just great people that I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. So when I saw this movie was coming, I was like, I'm definitely gonna give that a watch. And then I loved it. The wrestling stuff is all pretty cool. I love the friendship between Shia LaBeouf and Zach, and um, he just wants to follow his dream of being a wrestler. It's got cameos from Jake the Snake and Mick Foley, and they're really great.
Mm-hmm.
Dakota Johnson is good. And it's just a heartwarming
Like
movie.
John Bernthal shows up and Bruce
Yeah,
Dern and like Thomas Hayden Church, a couple other people kind of scattered throughout the movie, just making.
yeah,
I think it's like a movie they did like it's definitely a low budget movie. It seems like a movie they kind of like hey, do you want to come on for a day and just do this little part, you know what I mean, and help us out a little bit, But the movies like that are fun because somebody every 10 minutes, kind of somebody you know kind of pops up in the movie in a little small role, and I always like stuff like that. It's always
yeah,
those are always fun. It's a little road movie, yeah, because it's
yeah.
like a road movie. And yeah, it's a good one. If we ever do like a road trip tier ranker fights, I think it'll do really well.
Nice.
So yeah,
I guess it can kind of qualify for combat sports too because there is wrestling in the movie.
I think we had it on the list. I can't remember, but
Okay,
it would
cool.
somewhat qualify. Yeah, we'll see. All right, yeah, Peanut Butter Falcon. It was another understated good movie. So yeah, that's a good pick. I went with the pick. I talked about on our tier ranker show for time travel. It's an underseen movie still called Predestination with Ethan Hawke. And Predestination is just kind of a trippy mind fuck movie. It's like this woman goes into like a bar and starts talking to Ethan Hawke, and it's like, I got the craziest story you've ever heard, and yada yada yada. But it turns into this crazy story about this time travel, company that sends people back to different points. But I don't want to spoil too much because it gets to some crazy mind trippy places. But it's really, really good, and it's still very, very underseen. Again, I don't want to say much about it. It's Predestination, sci-fi movie from 2014, a little low budget, but really well done. It's on Tubi. Tubi's got the goodness, so it's on Tubi for free.
It really does. There's a lot of good stuff there.
Tubi's underrated, man.
Yeah.
Download Tubi.
Yeah. I think it was one that was like pre-downloaded because I have a Roku TV, and I think it was one that was
Oh, was it on there like on the Roku
like
box? Yeah.
I think it was just
Yeah.
preloaded. So yeah. Another movie that I don't want to say too much about, but I'm going to bring it up for Q is a Disney movie called Queen of Katwe.
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's got Lupita Nyong'o, David Oyelowo. I'm gonna butcher that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The guy he played Martin Luther King in that Selma movie, right?
Yeah. David O. So it's about a family that lives in Uganda, and David plays. I'm just gonna call him David. Plays a missionary who teaches kids how to play chess, and so the daughter. I'm looking up now. Medina Nawanga starts getting some success in local competitions and stuff, and has the chance to, help her family escape poverty. And I think it's a really solid, underseen Disney movie. It's back from 2016. It's it's on Disney Plus, so it's available. I would highly recommend it. Yeah, it's I love that it's about chess, and Google has it listed as a drama/sport because apparently chess is a sport
chess.
now.
Well, if you look up, sports movies, that, and then Searching for Bobby Fischer is a sport movie technically, with chess, and that Pawn Sacrifice movie with Tobey Maguire, all that stuff. So yeah, it qualifies, I guess. I mean, it's competition, so I guess,
Yeah.
to a degree, yeah.
Yeah, it's a solid one that I would recommend people watch.
All right, cool. I'll showcase one that I just talked about recently on our One Crazy Nights tournament fights. I just wanted to showcase it one more time for people to check out because it's a fun little watch. It's called Quick Change with Bill Murray from 1990, and it's a One Crazy Day movie where he robs a bank in a clown outfit, but he has some accomplices to help him do it and to try to make a getaway. He's working with Gina Davis and Randy Quaid, and Jason Robards is kind of the cop chasing them throughout the city. And it's just one of those One Crazy Day movies because everything that can go wrong trying to get out of the city goes wrong. It's just one of those movies where they just can't seem to make any progress escaping with the cash. So it's just a nice little movie. Bill Murray's doing his sarcastic Bill Murray, fun, dry humor thing. But he's good in it, and a lot of fun people kind of pop up, throughout the movie. Phil Hartman, Tony Shalhoub, Stanley Tucci, a bunch of people kind of popping up from scene to scene. So it's another of those movies where everybody that kind of pops up is somebody. So Quick Change, from 1990. It's a little hard to find. It's available for rent and stuff on some of the streaming services, but it's not available for free anywhere. But if you're in the mood, if you're a Bill Murray completist and you haven't seen Quick Change, I would recommend it.
Okay, I'll have to check it out. So moving on to R. This one was a little tougher. There's a lot of good movies that I wanted to bring up.
R and S, there's quite a few movies, and T, oddly enough, a lot of common letters on the Wheel of Fortune. So of course, there's a lot of movies with that. Yeah.
The one that I ended up going with is The Road to El Dorado, the 2000 DreamWorks. I think it's an underrated animated movie. Maybe not so much nowadays. I think people are starting to realize that this is a fun adventure animated movie. And it's got a great voice cast. Kenneth Branagh and Kevin Kline are great. And kind of this hidden city of El Dorado, I think. I think it's just a fantastic animated movie, and people like when it comes to DreamWorks, people think of Shrek and How to Train
This is
Your
an early
Dragon.
DreamWorks one, even before Shrek. Like this is one of the earlier ones, like one of the first couple of movies. Like
it was
98, 97, something like that, or 2000. Okay,
it was 2000. It was after Ants and Prince of Egypt, and then it was Road to El Dorado. I think it's all. I think it deserves to be talked about when you mention DreamWorks best. I mean, it's definitely top 10 in my opinion. I think it's great. I think it's a fun movie. It's it's another 90-minute animated movie. I think the animation is beautiful. I think some of the sequences are really fun, like when they're playing soccer. I think that's a fun sequence. The Road to El Dorado, underrated animated movie.
Yeah, that's one I haven't gone back to in a long time. I'll have to go back to it. But I see memes of using the characters all the time online for whatever reason. But yeah,
both. How about both?
Yeah, right. I'll have to go back to it at some point. But I forgot it was a DreamWorks movie. That's cool. Yeah, one of the early DreamWorks ones. That's cool. For my R, I went with another animal movie, but this one is not a creature feature like a horror movie. It's just a crazy movie that took a decade to make. It's called Roar from 1981. And all you need to do is go up and watch the trailer for this movie on YouTube. It's a movie that took these guys 10 years to make. They filmed this movie in quotes because it's hard to say that there's like a plot to this movie. They try to. But what it was, they filmed this movie on this lion preserve, this like cat preserve, where there's real lions and real tigers, and they're trying to film this movie around it. And there are people really being mauled and scratched and bitten throughout the movie. The tagline of the movie was no animals were harmed in making this movie, but so and so many, like 100 some odd cast and crew were harmed in the making of this movie. It's a crazy movie where every other scene is like somebody trying to deliver a line, but like a lion coming behind them and like tackling them wanting to play. Like it's insane. It's an insane movie. There's a horrifying sequence that is one of those nail biting sequences you ever see, where the crew is like, the cast is running around this house trying to like hide from all the lions that are running around the house, and they're like breaking the doors down and like ripping up the cabinets, and it's one of the most nail-biting, anxiety-ridden scenes I've ever seen. It's just a nutty, again, movie, if you want to call it. There's sort of a plot, but like, they just had to use whatever footage they had. But every other scene is like somebody getting tackled and mauled by like a lion for real, and getting like scratched up and crazy. It's just go watch the trailer on YouTube. It's a little bit hard to find, but I blind bought the Blu-ray years ago when they finally came out with the Blu-ray of this movie, and I have not regretted it. It's like a roar from 1981. It's a bonkers movie. Just watching these people like go like, oh no, oh god, oh no, the lion just jumped on you. Oh no, okay, the lion's grabbing your arm. Oh no, what's happening now? Like, and it's all real. It's all just real lions, real tigers, real crazy. So check it out, Roar from 1981.
All right. That's what I got to say. Okay. You sold it pretty well. I'm gonna definitely check it out.
I'm gonna go on Amazon, just buy the Blu-ray for Jacob, and we're gonna do a watch along and just watch this movie and watching horrors. We go, oh god, no, he got tackled by that's a real lion. No, that's real, and he just bit his arm. Oh my god, what's going on? Yeah, if you thought Tiger King was crazy, go watch the movie Roar. For real.
Moving on to S, I'm gonna go with a 2006 movie starring Will Ferrell. That's Stranger Than Fiction. I think Stranger Than Fiction is really good. Will Ferrell plays this IRS agent auditor who discovers that Emma Thompson is narrating his life apparently, and he can hear her in his head. And he's auditing Maggie Gyllenhaal, and Queen Latifah plays the book editor, I believe, something like that. I believe she's the editor. Maybe she's the publisher. I think she's the publisher.
I think she's his representative at the book company or whatever. Yeah, and Maggie Gyllenhaal's great as the baker, that he's auditing. Yeah. No, this is the one that got everybody's attention as far as Will Ferrell can act. Yeah, he can. He's really good in this movie. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. I think Will Ferrell and Maggie Gyllenhaal play really well off each other. I think Emma Thompson and Queen Latifah play really well off each other. Dustin Hoffman is also in this movie, and they try to find Emma Thompson and get her to change the story. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend it. It's free on Pluto.
Pluto, yeah. TV. I have Pluto.
So, yeah. There you go. No. It's not one that I've revisited recently, but I definitely want to, because I think it really shows that Will Ferrell can act, and he's not just a character in a comedy movie. He when it comes to some dramatic performances, he can go. I think of this one. I think of Everything Must Go. I think he was really good in that one too.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's a good pick. That more people should see. I went with my S movie. I went with Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. It's a really solid movie if you've never seen it. Steve Carell and Keira Knightley. Basically, the premise is it's not a disaster movie, but a asteroid is basically heading for Earth, and they've got like 3 weeks or something until it hits. They know it's going to happen. There's nothing they can do about it. The end of the world is coming, and Steve Carell kind of doesn't know what to do with himself. He just kind of keeps going with his routine. He keeps going to work, even though people are killing themselves and running out and doing crazy things, and some other people are doing the same. But the world's kind of falling apart around him. But he meets Keira Knightley, and they kind of start this road trip. And sort of it starts out as kind of a comedy, but kind of becomes a dramatic kind of romance movie by the end of it. But it's a really, really good movie that will definitely have you hooked by the end of it. It's a movie that might make you cry by the end of it. It's really, really good, really sweet. It kind of develops with them kind of going to find their family members before everything kind of falls apart. I think this movie. It was weird when it came out. I think people expected more of a straight comedy, and again, it starts out like that. Probably the first half an hour, 45 minutes or so, but it takes a hard turn into dramatic territory. And I don't think people were ready for that. But if you know that going in, I think it's a really, really good movie, and it's just really solid. It's on HBO Max, so I would recommend.
Okay.
It's another kind of hidden gem from the early 2010s, so 2012, I believe. So yeah, Seeking a Friend for the End of the World. If you haven't seen it, I would highly, highly recommend it.
All right, yeah, I'll check it out. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard good things about it. So
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Moving on to T, I'm going to go with a 2015 movie starring Bryan Cranston as screenwriter Dalton Trumbo. That's the movie Trumbo. I think, I think Trumbo was fantastic. Bryan Cranston plays a screenwriter who gets blacklisted because of his political beliefs, and then he starts, he starts writing movies under others. Writers' names, so they get the credit, but he gets.
Right.
Yeah, no, it was a really, really solid movie. I think I loved Bryan Cranston's performance in it. Diane Lane's in this movie. John Goodman. Features a lot of guys who give really solid performances, and it was just. I had never heard of this movie. I saw it on Netflix, so I turned it on because anything Bryan Cranston is in, I will give a shot, and I really enjoyed his performance. So, yeah, I think it's a solid movie that more people should see. Trumbo.
Nice. Yeah, Trumbo's a good one. It was one that it got a little bit of buzz at the time for Bryan Cranston, and then it kind of disappeared. Like people didn't really talk about it much after that. So yeah, that's a solid pick. It's a good biopic. Yeah, people should check that out. I went with the complete opposite direction for my T pick. I went with a horror anthology film that I'm a big fan of from 1995 called Tales from the Hood, which I'm a big fan of. If you like stuff like Creepshow, horror anthology movies, this is one of the more fun ones. It's definitely like more urban influence, but like in a good way, not like Hood of Horror, from Snoop Dogg, which is a bad one. This is a good one called Tales from the Hood. It's basically the wraparound story is like these three kind of gang guys, are going to meet up with somebody they think has like a stash of drugs, and it's Clarence Williams III, who just passed away recently. He's a mortician at this kind of funeral home, and he starts telling them the story as they see the different bodies around. He's like, "Oh, this one has a story. This one has a story." So that's the wraparound, and they get into the individual segments, which is, anthologies are fun because if you're not digging the segment, you wait like 15 minutes and the next one starts. So those are always good, like 90 minutes. Has a really fun ending. Clarence Williams, as the mortician, is just eating and devouring the scenery, but in the best way possible. He's so entertaining, and all the stories are really, really good, and it's got some fun stuff. So I'm a big fan of Tales from the Hood. It's not free anywhere right now. It's available to rent and buy and stuff digitally. There's a great Scream Factory Blu-ray that's out there, but Tales from the Hood is really good if you haven't seen it. If you're into horror anthologies, which I'm a big fan of.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen this once. I just haven't revisited it since.
It used to be out of print. I used to have like a bootleg DVD from like a horror convention that I got, and then it finally got like distributed eventually. And so I was a good boy. I'm a good boy. I only do that when it's not available. When the Scream Factory Blu-ray came out, I promptly bought it and purchased it, correctly. And I even bought the digital version on Vudu. So I'm a good boy. I bought it twice and make up for my ways. But I only do that if it's not available. But luckily, most stuff is around somewhere, nowadays. It was a little tougher back in. This was like mid 2000s. It was a lot hard to find some of this stuff, but yeah, Tales from the Hood's a lot of fun.
Nice. Moving on to the letter U. We're almost there. U. I'm gonna go with Upgrade. I think Upgrade.
Oh, good one.
Upgrade was. I think Upgrade was a better Venom movie than Venom was. Kind of that. that something inside you kind of taking over your
voice
body.
In your head, somebody controlling you, kind of taking over your body. That's good stuff.
And the only reason I'm bringing this one up is because I think the fight scenes are choreographed so well. Just kind of the way they make him move is just really cool. The fight scenes in this movie are all great. Logan Marshall Green, he has a great performance. he gets implanted with an artificial intelligence called STEM. After he's mugged, and his wife is killed, and he's paralyzed, and this makes him be able to walk, but the it kind of takes over his body. It gives him superhuman strength, and he tries to find his wife's killer, because who wouldn't? It's directed by Lee Winnell, who also did, I believe, The Invisible Man.
The Invisible Man, yeah.
So
he's been doing great as a director. He started out as the guy who co-wrote the early Saw movies with James Wan and The Bathroom, and then he's become this really solid kind of sci-fi horror action director. He's really, really good. He's one of those up and coming guys that I'm excited to see anything he comes out with now. Yeah, because between Upgrade and The Invisible Man, he's on a roll right now. So I'm ready to see what else he's got up his sleeve. That's a good pick, man. I still think it's underseen, even though I think a lot of people talk about it, but it's like this movie's so good. I remember seeing it and not knowing much about it going into it, and being blown away by it. In the theater, it was a lot of fun. I like Upgrade a lot.
Yeah, the people that have seen it love it. Like I've never met anyone who's seen this movie and been like, it was okay.
This is a movie from my U pick that came out in 2020, kind of right before everything went crazy, in January of 2020, kind of before everything got locked down and stuff. It's a movie called Underwater with Kristen Stewart, which I know Jordan Anderson, if you're watching, you love Kristen Stewart, but I'm a big fan of this movie. I think she's really good in it, but it's basically. I think it's just one of those fun kind of survival movies where, if you don't know the premise, essentially her and this other crew, they work on this underwater drill thing, and there's an explosion, and they have to basically get to their escape pods, but they're in another tower, so they've got to put on the big water kind of spacesuit looking things and get from, it's one of those movies where we got to get from this place to this place to this place, to try and escape. And it's very claustrophobic stuff, but it takes a twist where there's some underwater creatures roaming around that kind of get woken up from these explosions and are kind of hunting them. So it's a mix of Alien and a crazy underwater, and The Descent or something. It's one of those crazy things. But I think it's a lot of fun. I think the movie breezes by. It's super, super fast moving. It's 95 minutes, and the ending I won't spoil, but there's I get some really crazy Cthulhu vibes off of it, some H.P. Lovecraft kind of stuff. It's really great. I was blown away by it. I had a lot of fun in the theater with this one. So, and I feel like it kind of, because it was January 2020, kind of came and went. And not a lot of people saw it, but I really loved Underwater. I thought it was a great kind of horror thriller. I thought it was really great.
I haven't seen it yet, but I want to, because
I mean, literally, dude, 10 minutes in, the explosion happens, and they're doing their survival stuff. I mean, this movie flies by. I mean, there's a little bit of setup, and then 10 minutes in, 15 minutes in, we're off. You know what I mean? And it's 100 miles an hour from there, and it's great. I think it's really good, and she's good. Kristen Stewart is I'm sorry, Jordan. She's a good actress, and she got pigeonholed into the Twilight thing just like Robert Pattinson did, and she's actually really good. Just like a lot of those people did. Same with Dakota Johnson, who's really good too, but she just got pigeonholed into the 50 Shades of Grey thing for a little while. So, but just help them get their name out there. But Underwater, I think it's really, a lot of people in the horror community really like it and champion it. So, I think more people should check it out.
Yeah, I will be one of those that checks it out.
Yeah.
So V was really hard for me. Apparently, I have not seen a lot of movies that start with the letter V, so I'm going to go with one that's pretty well known, and I feel like I don't really have to say much about it, and that's Vertigo.
Okay.
I love this movie. It's another classic. It's got James Stewart, Kim Novak, and they're fantastic. James Stewart plays a guy who has an intense fear of heights, and he becomes obsessed with. Well, I don't want to say obsessed, but he comes with Kim Novak's character. They build a relationship, a friendship. And I mean, if you haven't seen Vertigo by now, what are you doing? go watch it.
Yeah, I haven't revisited in a while. I saw this is another one I got to see in the theater actually. Like
Nice.
I think they were unless they're doing a Hitchcock month or something. Because I'm pretty sure I saw this in North by Northwest like in the same month, like at the theater. I think they were doing a Hitchcock series. So yeah, and I haven't gone back to it since then. But I just watched High Anxiety, the kind of Mel Brooks parody of it. So I feel like I need to go back and watch the original one now because I watched the Mel Brooks version. But yeah, Vertigo is pretty good and great location, great San Francisco movie. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. So for V, I went with I believe it's a Danish or a Dutch film. It's a kind of a horror thriller, a little more just on the psychological thriller side. It's called The Vanishing, and The Vanishing. It's a movie that had a remake in. A few years later, in like '93 or '94, that had Jeff Bridges and Kiefer Sutherland in it. But I'm talking about the original one from '88. It's basically this couple is on a road trip and they stop at like a truck stop, rest area kind of thing, and the woman disappears. She just completely disappears, and this guy spends 2 or 3 years just obsessing over where she went, what happened to it, and the guy who kidnapped her. And I won't say what he did with her, but the guy who abducted her and did something to her just comes forward and says, "Hey, I did it, and if you want to find out what I did to her, come with me and I'll show you." Basically, and he's so obsessed with it that he does. So it kind of goes to some crazy places. It's famous for having a very disturbing ending that they changed in the remake, but I very much am on the side of the original ending. It goes to some very disturbing places. But yeah, he's basically like, "I'll tell you exactly what I did to her, but you got to come with me, and you can't, do this, that, the other, or else, you'll never find out." And he's so obsessed with finding out what happened to her that he goes with it. So it's very fascinating. It's a very unique movie. There's not a lot of, but yeah, it's called The Vanishing from 1988. I have the Criterion Blu-ray. I don't know if it's available for streaming. I didn't look yet, but it's really good. And if you like kind of psychological thrillers, it's good stuff. Yeah, from '88.
Nice.
So it's available for like rent on like Amazon Prime and stuff, but I have the Criterion Blu-ray because I bought it when it was half price and they were doing those Criterion half price sales because I had heard a lot about it and it's really solid. So yeah, good stuff.
All right, I'll have to check it out. Apparently, Jordan's a little behind. Betty White is the best part of like Placid. Yeah, and then his mom loved The Vanishing, so cool.
Your mom loves The Vanishing? I don't hear that a lot.
said Nightcrawler is dope. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what he's doing right now. But
I just talked about The Vanishing, and he just talked about The Vanishing. Maybe he's just catching up on his comments. I don't know. He's firing them off real quick. But yeah, I love The Vanishing. The Vanishing is really good.
Yeah. So V, we are on to W, and for W, I'm going with another Bryan Cranston movie. I'm going with the movie Wakefield from 2016. Bryan Cranston plays a lawyer who decides to hide out in the attic of his home, only coming out in the daytime when his family's gone. And I'm going to read this because I think it describes it better than I can. His withdrawal leads him to examine his life, and he rationalizes that he hasn't abandoned his family because he's still in the house. But when a former boyfriend re-enters his wife's life, who is played by Jennifer Garner, he realizes that he may not be able to return to life he has abandoned. And it's a really solid movie. Kind of that, will people miss me if I'm gone? And he takes that, literally, like I'm going to just. It's not like he comes out of the house, so it's not like he just spends all his time in the attic, but his wife and family just don't know where he's at. So
yeah,
it's one that was, I think, highly underseen. It made
it says box office was only like $800,000 or something, so they must have not put any money into the marketing or put it, maybe just kind of got dumped somewhere, and they just kind of forgot about it. But okay, it sounds interesting.
The only reason I knew about it is I found the Blu-ray, and it was Bryan Cranston on the cover, so I was like, okay, I'll check it out. It was at the time when I was just buying movies because I could.
Yeah, I will say I had seen Cheap Thrills before, but I actually found the Blu-ray a few weeks ago at a Dollar Tree for $1. I found the Blu-ray of Cheap Thrills, so check your local Dollar Tree, and you might be able to find my pick of Cheap Thrills for $1. So yeah,
Nice. Yeah. If I had that much money, Jordan, I would not be spending it on Wakefield at the movie theater.
Yeah.
I would have seen it once, and
this guy keeps coming for every showing of Wakefield. We have to keep it in the theater because he's buying the tickets. It's like, we'll keep it in theater number 10 in the back of the theater, and we'll just let him keep watching it. He loves this movie.
I do really enjoy it. I don't enjoy it that much.
Gotcha. I hadn't heard of it, so I'm glad to hear the recommendation. If I see it on, I'll look out for it. I guess it's available for rental and stuff on and streaming. I'll have to see if it ever goes on sale on Vudu or something. I'll pick it up and check it out. So I'll keep an eye out for that one. So sounds good.
You can find it at some Dollar Trees. So
yeah, maybe I'll keep an eye out for it. But sounds good. My W, I went with the original 1974 Wicker Man. I know a lot of people have seen the Nick Cage remake, not the bees, not the bees, Nick Cage running around in a bunny costume, all that kind of stuff. But the original one is really, really solid. Christopher Lee is like the head of the cult it's a very British movie. It's like, it's all, it's a British film. So there's very much, you might have to watch it with the subtitles on. It's so British. Now, I'm not talking about that one, Jordan. I'm not talking about the bees. I'm talking about the original Wicker Man. The original Wicker Man does not have that nonsense. It's actually really creepy. But if you like creepy cult movies like Midsommar, a lot of people did recently, it owes a lot to places like the Wicker Man, which kind of seems like a nice, community on the outside, as most cults do. They're growing vegetables and they're having, their classes, and everything seems nice and hunky dory, but there's always something kind of going on underneath. It's basically a cop goes to investigate a missing person that they think is in the cult on the island, and he kind of, everybody slowly kind of turns on him, and it kind of gets crazy at the end. It has one of the more famous horror endings of all time, and it's a really nutty ending. So I highly recommend The Wicker Man. Yeah, the original one from 1973. If you haven't gone back to see the original one, if you're only familiar with the Nick Cage one.
I haven't seen the Nick Cage one. I've seen this one, and it was really solid. Yeah, really good.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to X, and I feel like this might be where we have some crossover.
There's not a lot of options. It's either X-Men movies or Triple X movies with Vin Diesel, and that's pretty much your only options. There's not a whole lot. Yeah.
The X-Men movie I decided to go with is the one that I think is the best besides Logan, and that's X-Men Days of Future Past. I think Days of Future Past is.
Oh, okay. I thought we were gonna match. I went first class, so
that's the other one.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Apparently there's one more option. Xanadu. Yeah, never seen it.
Yeah, but I don't like musicals though. Like Xanadu is crazy bonkers with like roller skates and stuff, and it's fun to watch as a goof. But I don't really like that movie overall. Like, and there's an anthology movie called XY, but I haven't seen it yet. So, but yeah, other than that, or like Triple X, the 3 Triple X movies essentially with Vin Diesel and Ice Cube. I was gonna rewatch the Ice Cube one to see if it's underrated, if I should recommend it, but I haven't gone back to it since it's on the theater. So I don't know for sure. I couldn't take that risk and be completely wrong. Yeah.
No, so I'll go Days of Future Past. I think the way they were able to go with the past and the present and work those together, I think it was really solid. I think the cast is all great. I love Hugh Jackman, and I'll watch anything he's in. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like X-Men: Days of Future Past has been talked about to death. So,
yeah, I mean, and mine has been too. First Class, I prefer that one. I think the Matthew Vaughn touch on that one is a lot of fun because he was on a roll with Kick Ass and First Class and Kingsman. Like, he had a great run there, where he was just pumping out one banger after another. I just thought the new cast that they had was great. Everybody was just rock solid. I think it's just one of the better prequels that's ever been made, and just as far as like hitting the reset button. I just think the movie's really fun. I love the 60s stuff in the movie, the time period it's set in. I think they do a good job with it. So it's probably my favorite X-Men movie. I really like First Class. But yeah.
Yeah. No, First Class is great too. Like, it would, if I'm ranking X-Men movies, it'll go You'll go Logan, and then Days of Future Past, and then probably First Class. So yeah, they're really close for me. And on any day they could flip flop, and I'd probably be okay with it. But
definitely. All right. Well, we're right near the home stretch. We got Why.
Yes, right. Why. And this is actually a movie I just finished watching right before we went live. It's another pretty recent one from 2017, starring Joaquin Phoenix. It's called You Were Never Really Here. Joaquin Phoenix plays a guy who he rescues teenage girls, and so he gets a job to rescue the senator's daughter. And this movie it's dark, it's depressing. Joaquin Phoenix gives a great performance. It's on Amazon Prime, so if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I would highly recommend it. I think the score in this movie is fantastic and works really well with the tone of the movie. I think the music is really good. I don't really want to say much else because I think not a lot of people have seen it, and I think people should see it. It's a really great Joaquin. The story is hard to watch, but it's really good. It's another 90-minute movie, and it goes by. It's brutal. Like there's I'll just shout out when he gets to the house that the senator's daughter is in. I love that they shot it from like the security cameras. I thought that was really cool. And yeah, it's brutal just the way he beats people with the hammer. Man, it's really good.
Yeah. I went with the complete opposite direction with an Adam Sandler movie that I don't know why. I just really like it. It's kind of a guilty pleasure, but I really like You Don't Mess with the Zohan. I think it's really silly and nonsensical, but like it makes me giggle like a little boy. Like when I watch this movie, just a lot of little things throughout this movie just make me laugh. Like, it's just dumb stuff. Like when he goes to try to get John Turturro at the beginning of the movie playing the Phantom, that he's standing on the ceiling upside down for some reason, just because he's that badass. And he's just, no one can catch Phantom. Yee! And he just jumps out the window. It's just dumb stuff in this movie that just makes me laugh. I think this movie is super silly, but like there's so many just fun performances in it, and it just seems like everybody's having a good time. Yeah. It's really dumb. It's kind of offensive, but like I kind of like it. Like I kind of love Zohan, and I like the character. I just think the conceit is a lot of fun. So, I mean, you can't tell me when he's doing his sexy dance, cutting the woman's hair, in the salon to the music, and just like having fun. And it goes into a montage of Pump Up the Jam while he's cutting hair and having sex with old ladies. Like it's pretty fun. Like it's really silly but nonsensical, but I like it. It makes me laugh. So I went with You Don't Mess with the Zohan.
Nice. Yeah. Couldn't be two more opposite picks for the
two more opposite movies. Yeah, I know. Yeah. But what are you gonna do? I almost went with Your Next, which is a good little horror home invasion movie. But I decided to go with Zohan. So there you go.
Zohan.
All right, final one.
Yeah, speaking of the letter Z, for the letter Z, I decided to go with a buddy cop movie, and that's the buddy cop movie Zootopia.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's another one, I guess, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really solid Disney movie. I love that it's not a musical. Disney tends to go that way, but I think some of their more solid movies are the ones that they don't rely on musical numbers, and I think this is like the best of those when it comes to animated movies that aren't musicals. I think this is really solid. I think the voice cast is really great. The twist of the assistant being the real villain, I think was really cool. It's just a really solid, and it's got a good message to it too for a kids animated movie. It deals with a lot of issues that are still relevant to today, and I think they did that really well for a kids animated movie, which adults can get a lot of enjoyment out of too. So
Yeah, this is one of the last couple of anime movies I saw in the theater. But yeah, I remember liking it. I think the Sloss working at the DMV is so perfect. Just how frustrating it is, and it's really good. I think all the voice acting is pretty solid. That's a good pick. I went with a family pick too. I went with a family film that I've been a champion of for a long time. It's called Zathura, and it's basically Jumanji in space. But it's a Jon Favreau film, which a lot of people don't remember that, from 2005. And yeah, it's like Jumanji. It's the author who did the book is the same author who did Jumanji, which is why it's so similar. It's these two brothers playing a board game, but instead of stuff around their neighborhood and the animals and stuff, they get shot up into space, and it's all kinds of space aliens and Dax Shepard comes in. He's like a kind of a stowaway astronaut that kind of helps them out a little bit. And Kristen Stewart again is in it, but she's the older sister who gets frozen halfway through, so she's not even really in the movie that much. It's really fun. I like it. Yeah, no, I think he saw it and he was like, Kristen Stewart's. I was like, dude, she gets frozen like halfway through the movie. You'll love it. they literally, she's not in half of the movie, but I think it's still, if you like Jumanji, I mean, there's no reason you wouldn't like Zathura. Yes, it's very similar, but I think Jon Favreau puts a lot of flavor into it and makes it a lot of fun. It's a breezy, good little movie. I think it's fun. I've always been a big fan of this movie, so yeah, Zathura, good stuff.
This is it's one that I still haven't gotten to, but yeah,
it bounces in and out of Netflix every now and then. Like it'll pop up on Netflix for like a year, and then it'll be gone for whatever reason. It'll come back to Netflix. I've seen it in and out of the streaming services. So if you ever get a chance to, it's a Jon Favreau movie, man. It's good stuff.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Well, that concludes our list. I hope we gave some good recommendations. I certainly got some good ones that I will be checking out.
I got a few too. So yeah, a few things I hadn't seen. So that's what always makes it fun with these shows, is we can just knock off a whole bunch of movies that if we see them kind of on the streaming services, pop on. They're better than they maybe they have any right to be, but they're really good. But I always like getting good recommendations for movies.
Yeah,
always good stuff.
Yeah. So, that's it. That's our show. Thank for the few that did watch live. Thank you, and if you're watching on the replay, feel free to leave a list below of your A to Z. It can be your favorites. These weren't necessarily our favorites, but they were just movies that we wanted to recommend. It's nice to challenge ourselves to talk about movies that we haven't talked about before, because it's easy to keep talking about our favorites.
It's easy to be like, oh, for W, I went with The Wolf of Wall Street, which I've talked about 1,000 times, or something like that. Yeah, right. And talking about the same movies over and over again. But that's why we challenged ourselves. Each one, let's do ones we haven't showcased yet, just to make it interesting. So, and we're going to try to do more topics like that, where we can just recommend, all kinds of movies that we like and find kind of fun ways to do it. So, yeah, this was a fun one.
Yeah, but just to sort of tease, we will be talking about a pretty well-known movie pretty soon, because it is the 50th anniversary. So we will be talking about The Godfather pretty soon. Because 50 years. So yeah, that'll be coming soon. And we got some pretty interesting topics, I think, in the works. So be on the lookout for those. I don't know if we'll be going live every Sunday, but it seems to be working out with our schedule so far. So just keep looking out for the link. If you're on Facebook and you're following either one of us, just watch for us posting a link. We try to send it out there at least a couple hours before the show, because I'm not as prepared as other people. But yeah, no, this was our show. You can check Austin out on Tier Ranker and Tournament Fights. He's got Let's Rank stuff over on Henry's channel, Henry Confidential. Why don't you tell him about what you're going to be doing this week?
Yeah, no, most recently we did Edgar Wright films, kind of an honoring Last Night in Soho, and but we've always done stuff where so far we bounced back and forth between like franchises and filmmakers and things like that. So this week we're blending two franchises into one, our Let's Rank stuff, just to make it even spicier. We're doing as the movies would eventually do, Alien versus Predator. So essentially all the Alien films and all the Predator films mashed into one ranking. Because we could do an Alien ranking, but it would include the Alien versus Predator movies. So we say, why not just throw the Predator movies in there too, and just rank all 13 of them? So we're just going to do a big, massive, 13 movie ranking. I believe it's our biggest one we're doing so far, or it's 12 movies, excuse me. But I believe it's one of our bigger ones we're doing so far. We do know on the docket when the Batman comes out in March. We are going to do a Batman ranking, which will be our biggest one ever. That will be 20 movies, 20 theatrical films, featuring Batman.
Okay.
So we are going to do one massive Batman ranking. So I thought I had all of them, and then Henry was like, "Oh, by the way, Batman: Mask of the Phantasm was theatrical. Oh, that's right. This was Batman '66. Oh, Batman, this, that, and the other. So we've got one big massive ranking coming up for that. But we've done stuff like the Rocky movies and the Saw movies and the Rambo films and Christopher Nolan and Tarantino and all kinds of good stuff over there. We don't have like a set number. We just kind of pick a topic or pick a filmmaker or pick a franchise, and we just roll with it and have fun. And yeah, tournament fights and tier ranker fights. This week we've got tier ranker for Jim Carrey movies, so that'll be a lot of fun. And then I believe on Friday we have tournament fights for movies that take place in one location in a tournament fight, so that's going to be a lot of fun too. So check those out on the Movie Hero Network, right here on this network, Movie Hero Network. Nice. So follow us for all the latest shows.
I might jump in on one of those since I have access to the StreamYard account now. I'll just jump in. Like, hey,
you can just jump right in. Well, I mean, you and Owens and Richie and Malcolm are kind of always our standby guys. If somebody has to drop out, halfway through, they got to go. It's like, hey, who's watching? Any of you guys watching? You want to jump in? Hey, jump right in. Just insert yourself.
I'll jump in. Let me tell you why the number 23 is an S tier Jim Carrey movie.
Yeah, right. Oh my God, I just watched that for the first time this week, and I've never seen it. And oh my God, is that movie horrendous? Like, it's so bad. But anyways, want to hear more about the number 23 and Dark Crimes. I watched his movie that has 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Dark Crimes. Whew. I'll talk about that on Tuesday. So I'll leave my thoughts there.
So come back and hear his thoughts on that. You can check us out here, a podcast about movies, a podcast about wrestling. We'll be coming back. I don't know when. Me and Jordan are going to work out a time to do that. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe. I'm sure
you guys have to talk about the fallout from the Royal Rumble, right? Maybe a little Royal Rumble aftermath and where they're going for the way to WrestleMania. And they've kind of already started setting up elimination chamber stuff, right? So there's a lot to talk about. So Goldberg's coming back again, and he just every time he shows up, he gets a title shot. So I'm sure you'll talk about that. All he's got to do is say you're next, and you get a title shot. So okay, I guess that works.
We'll have a lot to talk about, and then Austin and I will have a lot to talk about because there's a lot of movies out there that we can talk about, and we're going to keep talking about them.
We'll let you guys know what the next topic is. We have a list of topics we'll get to. We'll let you guys know what the next one will be. We'll talk amongst ourselves and figure one out here in a few minutes. So we'll let you know. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So for Austin, I am Jacob, and keep talking about movies.